Man, it's been a long time since I heard desktop audio at its actual volume. Hello.
That's true.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, The Church of Failure, and with me, as always, my trusty co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing this week, buddy?
What's going on?
I'm
I'm doing good.
So I heard you had a fight with a printer earlier. Did you win?
What was that? Your
I-
is designed to be a dick now.
Oh, good. I heard you got into a fight with. Oh no! Voice connected terrible now because I'm streaming. Jesus Christ! All right, I'm just gonna call you on Skype, Discord.
Okay, I'll see.
I apologize, ladies and gentlemen. Go ahead and get Skype loaded up. I tried to use Discord. My internet is too shitty to use Discord and OBS simultaneously. Go ahead and mute the channel so you don't have to hear this annoying ass ringtone. This has got to be entertaining. The most entertaining radio. What's going on, Bad Vibes? How's it going? Hi, Danielle. Thanks for dealing with our boomer tech issues. Hopefully everything will. Well, I don't know that we warned anyone, but you know. So apparently, what the issue is my internet is just so shitty that it cannot handle OBS and Discord simultaneously. So I'm gonna have to seriously start looking into upping my internet quality, as they say. Hopefully. No, I actually pay for my own. Cicada is contagious, and I brought it. All right. Not quite sure what that means, but I'll take it. Anyway, got kind of a full show planned out. No reviews this week. I'm currently trudging my way through Spawn. It is a lot to read. So it is not as quick as The Walking Dead. The Walking Dead is nowhere near as substantive. I think that's the word. Substantive. As whatever. As Spawn is. The meat of the problem is it takes about 3 times as long to read an issue of Spawn as it does an issue of The Walking Dead. So I'm pretty sure that'll not always be the case, but the first chunk of it, I'm not quite to issue 100 yet. The first chunk of it is a lot to chew through. Good, but it's a lot to chew through. Let me go ahead and unmute it.
I mean, there weren't. Hey.
I forgot. I muted it so I didn't hear the Skype noises. So I told you we'd have audio issues, as I promised.
And there really weren't any like super amazing number ones or anything that came out this week anyways, so not really missing out on much.
We will be talking about an issue with some number ones that Comics Purge put out on Twitter today. I do have that thread pulled up. Oh yeah. Ricado's a boomer. He not as bad as I am. I promise you. He has good internet. See, that's the difference there. hopefully I will soon. I'm going to look at upping my package depending on how much it costs. Apparently, we pay entirely too much for shit quality internet. So I'm going to see if there is a better alternative. Why is YouTube still telling me my video output is shit? I mean, I'm getting standard green all the way across OBS, but as long as you guys are okay.
Because everything hates us.
Bad Vibe said number one is just a trailer of comics. Yeah, but if you check out some of our This Week in Comics episodes, usually we try and pull some decent number ones or some at least interesting looking ones. They might not end up decent, but interesting looking number ones to look through. But this week we because I'm reading through Spawn and Ayrton couldn't find anything he's interested in. We opted to cover a few more news articles. We do have a shill for Alternate Ween. We'll probably do at about the halfway point of the show, so stick around for that. But
a weekly alternative.
Yeah, definitely something that's become quite a pastime. Now, I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of the show, but we did have the chat heads up in the corner from Discord. I'm going to see if there's a way that I can integrate that with Skype. Probably not, because my computer hates me and I'm an idiot with technology. But we'll see. So, Ayrton sent a couple of stories over. I pulled a couple of things to look at this week. A couple of things at the top of the show that I wanted to talk about. Don't know how many of you caught it, but Ethan Van Sciver was actually on the Killstream or the Ralph Retort, whatever the show is actually going by these days. I've always called it the Killstream, even after he rebranded. So you may know it as the Ralph Retort, but Ethan Ralph's show over on DLive, DLive.tv/the Ralph Retort.
Well, where you'll see us someday once we get kicked off of YouTube.
Right. Or before then, just depending if it turns out to be a better option. But right now, the mobile app is shit, and I wouldn't do that to the viewers that we do have. I wouldn't expect any of them to come over to DLive. I go over to DLive and listen to the podcast, but I wouldn't expect anyone to make that move with how crap their app and support is. You're not sitting in front of a PC. It's shit.
Oh, that's fair.
But Ethan Van Sciver was on the Killstream talking about some Comicsgate drama. He took some calls. Longtime friend of the show, Tom McDenny, and I both called in. I went in just to get a little confirmation from EVS about something that I thought a lot of the community needed to hear, that mainly Comicsgate is not the drama that surrounds it. Comicsgate is about saving our hobby from SJWs who just want to destroy 80 years of legacy. I'd say that's a fair assessment, right, Ayrton?
Yeah, that's kind of how I view it.
And the way that I asked this question, I asked Ethan Van Sciver straight up, is there a problem with me considering myself a part of the movement of Comicsgate, even though I liked Earthworm Jim and I liked Cyberfrog? And inexplicably, or not inexplicably, without hesitation, he was like, fuck no. And I definitely encourage everybody, if you don't watch the Killstream, if you like comic books, check out that episode, because there were some heinous callers. I think one of them even told Ethan to go gas himself, or to get gassed or something.
In Minecraft?
In Minecraft. This is me paraphrasing YouTube. I'm not telling anyone to cause harm to themselves or encouraging that type of behavior. But yeah, there was a lot of soy being thrown at Ethan. Someone even claimed that there was only 17 pages of Cyberfrog done. And I'm like, we've seen the book. He's put inks for more than 17 pages on Twitter. What is wrong with you? A couple of people have asked me, and I've staunchly rejected the idea of doing it, but I may break down one of these days and just kind of chronicle the Comicsgate movement, if you will, and the major events that happened during such. Um, we'll do a show on it possibly. I try to stay away from the drama, but a lot of people have asked me, and they kind of wanted a succinct rundown of what started, what's happened since, all that good stuff, and I figure I'm unbiased enough from all parties involved to kind of give that rundown. I mean, there'll probably be a little shade thrown here and
You
there,
probably
but
know the most.
I wouldn't say that. There's probably some people on Twitter that have a much better idea than I do, but I've seen a lot of it, so I've been around since the beginning. So, um, also the Killstream had the Boulderversary, so any of you familiar with Mundane Matt should check that out. That was fantastic. What's going on, Matt Christie? How's it going? Yeah, you showed up right on time. Uh, anyway, just to put a cap on that, check out that episode of the Killstream. Ethan Van Sciver even told Atomic Denny that he needed to come over to CG and do a comic book with them, which I totally 100% endorse.
Oh, definitely.
That kid's got raw talent coming out of his ears. Tending the crops all day. So you don't know that Jeffrey Epstein committed suicide by Clinton? Then that's an interesting thing to look into. We're not going to talk about that. That's been hashed out everywhere. Oh,
Yes.
hello, Patty Lee. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but how's it going? I'll just say Patty for now. That'll do it. You have a wrench, so I think your name may have changed. Not sure. Keep opening Illustrator like an idiot because it's right beside my OBS window. I'm so bad at this.
That just seems like poor planning.
Well, I mean, I use Illustrator a lot, so it's good that it's right there. But anyway,
Fair.
no, fuck off.
Oh,
The program.
Patty, she's one of Deadman's listeners.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry, I'm fighting with Illustrator right now. There we go. Finally. So anyway, Ethan Van Sciver handled the Soy Boys like a champ. Check that out. What else did I have? Um, oh man, we definitely appreciate it, Matt. Oh, it just has been a while. Well, it's good to have you. Good to have you here. We definitely appreciate you stopping in. So, the first story we've got this week, a little bit touchy,
I just
and
want to check.
you're roboting like hell. So,
So you probably can't hear. My
try
neighbors
now.
are deciding to throw a very. How's that?
Much better.
Okay. Can you hear my extremely loud neighbors that are farther away than they should be, that I should still be able to hear their party at the moment?
No, no, but that's probably because
Okay.
I've
Just
tuned it
wanted to
out.
make sure because it's.
Yeah, my neighbors did the same thing all week. So,
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that wasn't coming through.
well, the first story we have is a little bit touchy. No way, shape, or form are we trying to profit off of the tragedy of El Paso. However, this was an interesting little article that came up. After El Paso shooting, Latina comic hero creator vows to keep telling stories. There's a quote from Hector Rodriguez. Today we have to create, go out and tell stories. El Paso hero is needed as a positive role model. And I'll be the first to admit I did not know about this comic before today when Ayrton sent me this. But it's a web comic created by a legal Mexican American immigrant. Um, called El Paso Hero, and he was created years ago. I think back in 2011. What it says? Yeah, 2011.
Something like that.
So let's go ahead and dive into this real quick. It was stories his grandfather told about drug traffickers attacking vulnerable immigrants at the border that inspired Hector Gonzalez Rodriguez III, that's a mouthful, to create El Paso Hero, a Latino crime fighter who protects the people on both sides of the U.S. Mexico border, which, admittedly, is an interesting concept.
Yeah.
Um, Very Zorro
The
esque.
name, the name kind of sucks.
Name needs a little bit of work. You could, you know, but could it just be the, is that better vibes? Just, everything's green across the board on my end. So I think we're okay. I know you guys are a little bit behind, so I'm just going to keep going. I wanted to create someone like Luke Cage in Harlem, said Rodriguez, a comic book creator of Mexican American descent, living in between the Southwest Texas and North Mexico, who fights cartels and defends unaccompanied minors and families crossing the perilous border. So I'm giving the benefit of the doubt and saying that they're crossing the border to go through the proper channels and seek citizenship. To give it the
Oh, of
benefit of the
course.
doubt on there because that's not the reason I wanted to cover this story. Everybody's got their feelings about immigration. I'm not going to get into that, but El Paso Hero started off as a webcomic in 2011 and is now scheduled to make it movie screen debut in 2021. Comic gained cross-border fame in 2015 after the Mexican superhero took on the presidential candidate Donald Trump. All right, so now we see where this lies.
Yep.
Who started his campaign by saying Mexicans coming into the U.S. were rapists and criminals, with a cover that paid homage to Jack Kirby's iconic 1941 comic where Captain America punches Hitler. Kirby came from a. Did you not screen this before you sent it to me? Yeah, kicked off of
I.
YouTube with all these all these buzzwords. Kirby came from a
I
Jewish
mean, we're
immigrant
talking about a
family,
historical fact.
and in Rodriguez's version, El Paso Hero similarly delivers a punch, or Trumpazo, to Trump in defense of Americans and Mexican heritage and Mexican immigrants. So I guess that benefit of the doubt just kind of went out the window.
Yeah.
Now, the recent mass shootings in El Paso have given Rodriguez a heightened sense of urgency to defend his Texas community's history, stories, and values. Knowing that the shooter lived 1 mile away from where I create El Paso Hero, where I plan the Latino Comic Con, goes against everything we do as a community, said Rodriguez, who is a fifth grade teacher and lives near the suburb of Allen. Don't dox the man, Jesus! Where the suspect in the El Paso shooting had been living with his grandparents. We build, we create, we uplift, we persevere, he said to his fellow Texans. 21-year-old suspect drove 10 hours from Allen to the border city of El Paso, where more than 8 in 10 residents are Hispanic. The majority of the 22 people who died and those who were injured were Latino. And minutes before gunfire opened in a Walmart, officials told NBC they believe he posted an anti-Latino manifesto writing about a Hispanic invasion. For Rodriguez, the shooter's screed aims to distort Mexican American history and stir anxiety and the fear of the community where families are already affected by immigration, detentions, and deportation. We have a history of different groups being called foreigners and invaders, Rodriguez said, but we need to remember that we are all part of what we have done together as a country. Remember what we are all part of, I mean, technically, we are all immigrants, unless you're Native American. And then I encourage you to get out and tell everyone to get the fuck off your land.
Yeah. Immigrants versus settlers. That's a interesting semantics debate, but
Yeah. So then it kind of goes into the history of El Paso Hero. Again, the name could use some work. There's a little bit about the video games industry that I'm not going to give credence to, but yeah. Regardless of his politics, I do think it's interesting that someone has created this concept, and they're at least trying to create something positive out of something terrible. Regardless of what you think about that, it's always kind of a good thing when somebody doesn't come out and say, "Oh well, this is so and so's fault," and they're like, "Yeah, well, let's just make something positive out of this. Let's try and I don't know, make something good." But it also kind of seems like it's pandering his book in the wake of a tragedy. I was an hour away.
yeah, right. I don't know.
So
It's
I don't know, Ayrton. I think you might be 0 for 1 on that one, buddy. This is what happens when you don't screen your articles. When I don't screen my articles, I can just trash them and I can't fire me. But
true, but I mean, uh, I don't know. I was
oh, you're
curious.
you're
I
good.
read a little bit of it. I screened some of it, just not all of it.
I
But
didn't get far enough down to
it's
realize that this was a propaganda piece.
oh, I knew it was a propaganda piece. I mean,
All of them are at this
it is
point.
NBC News,
Well, I mean,
but
Newsarama's
I
not
mean,
that.
it's yeah.
But yeah,
I mean,
Newsarama's not
it's an
much better.
yeah. I mean, it was interesting enough. Just that and the fact that there was a NBC piece tying comic books to like current events. Yeah, I thought that was. I was like, yeah, let's see what they have to say. Oh, okay, they're cucks.
Well, Bad
I
Vibes
see.
in the comments actually have a pretty good point. It's fictional and not destroying anything, an existing comic. So that's true. I mean, they're not
Yeah,
they're not trying to push the next Captain America as an El Paso Texan. Um, so you know,
yet.
I will
Don't
give it.
give them ideas.
They don't listen to this show. Dead man in the chat. How's it going, buddy?
Hey, what's up, man?
Why does it automatically set to top chat? Why doesn't it just stay at live chat like I want it?
Because it hates you.
It does. So,
Mine stays in live chat.
aren't you special? Anyway,
Just saying.
Dan DiDio, bigwig over at DC Comics, concerned about nostalgia driving the comic book market. Now, in case some of you haven't, caught it or don't know or whatever, how did we jump from 5 to 2 people? That was interesting.
Weird.
Yeah. Well, hope they come back. Appreciate them stopping in. If not, anyway, some of you might not have noticed, but DC Comics is kind of doing a little bit of a tailspin right now. And and now we're back
Just
up to 6. Fucking YouTube.
My screen still says 4, so
DC's in a bit of a tailspin after the acquisition of Warner Entertainment to AT&T. We briefly talked a little bit about that over the last week, but Ethan Van Sciver covered it in a video, and so did Yellow Flash, and they kind of have opposing viewpoints. Yellow Flash thinks that DC will be spun back off into an independent comic company where they won't receive any of the money from branding or marketing or anything like that from the t-shirts and that side of the business. Ethan Van Sciver thinks that essentially the entire imprint will just shut down and they'll just market the t-shirts as a lifestyle brand kind of thing. What do you think, Aaron?
Yeah, that's I would kind of lean that way too. That's kind of what
Just
corporate Hollywood has been doing, right? I
just
mean,
shut
it's
down
not really.
the shut down the print section of DC, and maybe put out a graphic novel through like an IDW or a Dark Horse or something.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll completely shut it down, but I think they're going to do what Disney's doing with Marvel. Just kind of let them kill themselves, but then use the lifestyle marketing to make extra money. Is kind of what I think they're probably going to do.
Well,
But I mean, their movies kind of suck, so they're going to have to like figure that shit out first. Maybe come out with a good Green Lantern movie, please and thank you.
yeah, definitely. Just give
But
me a Guy
yeah,
Gardner Green Lantern, like dirty, grungy, grimy, gets punched in the face by a Batman whose face you never see. Like, give me a Green Lantern that's not a bad rendition of Hal Jordan. We know his story. Give me Kyle Rayner
yeah.
catching the ring after O is destroyed by
Or
Parallax.
or if you want to be woke, give us John Stewart. I love John Stewart, Green Lantern.
Nah, man, if you want to be woke, give us Sinestro's daughter
Oh yeah,
taking over the Green
fair.
Lantern ring
But
for his planet. But either way, or
but I mean,
the
John Stewart's
lady and the
awesome.
Muslim Green Lanterns,
Yeah,
Simon Baz and
yeah.
Jessica Cruz.
Okay. Well, don't give them bad ideas. I'm trying to give them good ideas.
Well, I mean, that'll be a direct competition with Muslim Blade.
That's true.
Which
But that's what I think they'll do is just they're gonna just
let,
let them implode
can
themselves and
can I just
sell
rant a
T-shirts
minute
and
about Muslim Blade? I just
yes.
just mentioning Simon Baz and the idea of doing a Muslim Blade. Simon Baz,
Hmm.
created as a Muslim character, no problems. Buddy looked at it twice. Great Green Lantern. He even had a gun. He had a gun, for God's sake. He was like Batman in the 30s. He had a gun. And nobody batted an eye. There was no uproar. There was no issue, no nothing, because he was an original character created for the purpose of being a Muslim Green Lantern. Blade? Blade has never been Muslim. In fact, it kind of goes against the whole mythology of vampires, which is essentially Christian mythology. Crosses holy water,
Yeah.
garlic. Even though
Yep.
Blade kind of already stepped away from that in the movies, they're still intrinsic. When you hear vampire, you think crosses holy water, sunlight, garlic.
Garlic.
You know,
I don't know what garlic has to do with Christianity, but
it
we'll
doesn't,
roll with
but
it.
yeah, just roll with the garlic. Um, Nobody wants to eat seasoned or unseasoned communion wafers there and get with the program.
Fair enough.
Uh, so Oh, Mrs. Church is in the chat. I like Nickelodeon's Green Lantern. Yes, that was fantastic, but we don't need to screw that up by doing another Hal Jordan. But yeah, just Muslim Blade. Don't do it. Don't. There's no point. That's all I got. It's not that bad.
Oh,
Just
okay.
I
I
heard
thought it was
that
good.
and I'm just like, just because the actor is Muslim doesn't mean you have to shove religion into the movie. Like, you already
Right?
took the Christianity out of it. Why? Like, how is he gonna? Does Blade only drink halal blood? Get,
Yeah, how
get
would that work?
exactly. Exactly. So, anyway, I mean, he's got
I
the
mean, you
serum,
would have
but
to
he drinks blood in every movie, so that's part of the thing.
you
So,
would have to because halal, you have to slaughter the animal a certain way, right? Is that part of it?
I
So you
don't
would have to
know. No, that's how kosher
slaughter the
works.
vampire. You'd have to slaughter the vampire a certain
No,
way,
the human you would have to slaughter a certain way.
or human. Sorry. Yeah, so they'd have to That's dark and twisted. Holy
Right.
fuck!
Uh
What the hell, Marvel? God damn.
huh. Now you understand. Anyway, let me get back to it before I just get sidetracked again. Uh, with the DC Comics kind of in an uproar right now. There's a lot of concern going on, and Dan DiDio mentioned at San Diego Comic Con 2019 that DC Comics are seeing better numbers on reprints of old key issues than they are
Oh,
on
imagine my
new
shock.
issues. Yeah. Um, the first reason is because these old key issues, they can print them for a
Are
buck.
good.
They can print them for a
Oh,
buck, just like Marvel's True Believers. So the cost barrier is not there.
yeah.
The second is that these are stories that didn't have as much of an agenda, if any agenda, and they're back at a time when comic books were good. They're the stories that we remember growing up. So that's what he's talking about here. He's concerned about nostalgia driving the comic book market, which we'll comment on at the end of the article. But let's just see what he has to say, shall we?
Yeah, I guess.
DC co-publisher Dan DiDio has continued to express frustration at the over-reliance on nostalgia in the comic book market. Following up on comments he made during July's Comic-Con, see, hold it, uh, San Diego, Comic-Con International San Diego about DC's facsimile editions, reprints that reproduce classic comic book stories with the original ads and content intact. I don't know why it's so important to mention the original ads. Like, it's cool,
Because
but
the
why?
original. Because come on, don't you remember those ads from the first appearance of the Justice League? Those were fantastic.
They were, but what I'm saying is, why is it so important to showcase that every time they talk about it? Like, every time I hear about these, they're like, the original ads. Motherfucker, you're showing me ads for things I can't even buy.
Yeah, exactly. It's because we're not actually being advertised to then, because we can't actually buy the shit anymore. They're just entertaining.
No, because it pisses me off when I'm reading these old Spawn comic books and I'm seeing like 75-cent key issue sales.
All right, fair enough.
All right. Now, speaking to ICV2, not sure who that is, Candidio spoke out about several factors that he feels artificially inflate the size of the comic book market and hinder growth in that market. Where my concern comes from is more about the over reliance on nostalgia, specular marketing, variant covers, well, we agree there, and a lot of things that seem to be driving numbers and sales given the appearance of a healthy industry, but it's not built on ongoing success of the individual titles in order to keep those numbers successful and maintained, Didio explained. We're creating these artificial highs on a continual basis. Someone pulls that apart. Does it break the infrastructure overall? And how do we change these buying patterns in a fashion to build something that is more healthy business going forward? See, that's a rational statement. I agree with that. Now, if
That,
only you would have thought of it 10 fucking years ago.
right? That's what happens. I mean, you let these yahoos get in charge of something they don't understand. They want to be woke. They want to, drink their soy lattes and shit and grow their man tits. That's what happens.
We've been
Am I wrong?
screaming this as comic fans for a decade now. We've been screaming it. Later in the same interview, and what could be interpreted as being in contrast with his earlier comment, DiDio explained that DC's strategy for the cult favorite humor publication Mad Magazine. DC recently announced Mad would no longer be sold on newsstands and in grocery stores in favor of subscription at the direct market due to low sell through on the title. Cancellation sparked an outpouring of fans and creators expressing their love for Mad. Our choice right now, though, is to go primarily with the mostly reprint material because we feel that the nostalgic material is really what people have been enjoying most. We want to go back with again, Theo explained of the decision. There'll still be a smattering of original materials to several of the books going forward. We have a plan that still pushes out for the next year. They're only planning a year ahead. Good God, that's terrifying. Like, if you know
Ugh.
about the workings of the comic industry, having a plan for a year, that sounds like you've written a will.
I
We'll be
mean, they need to hire Sargon so he can give them a 20-year plan, right?
yeah, no shit. Say the N word a lot, mate. That'll get you books to sell. Use the hard R. uh,
Well, that was a nice run on YouTube. Thanks everybody
yeah, no joke.
for listening to our show.
We have a plan that still pushes out for the next year, and we'll be reviewing how the strategy has worked over the next year to see whether or not we continue moving past that. Right now, we're still
Motherfucker,
publishing.
you need a long ass plan that you can shift as things don't work.
Shh,
You don't
shh,
do a short plan.
shh, don't make sense, Ayrton. Shh, don't
Sorry,
you can't make
my
sense to these
bad.
people. uh, right now, we're still
We're gonna
publishing.
barely make a buck, so you know.
We'll still have new material. We'll still have the Mad 20. Mad 20. We'll still have other things that people come to look forward to in Mad. Biggest changes was that we had to get it off the newsstand and it was bleeding the magazine. Fortunately, we have to make tough business choices sometime, and right now we're going to make sure that it exists through the subscriptions and direct market. So he literally took that from a conversation about comic books to about Mad Magazine. Um, what the shit, Dan? Like, I have a better focus than that. Come on, man.
Now, wouldn't the fact that the reprint issues are outselling new issues, wouldn't that tell them something? That it's not really nostalgia that's driving the market. It's has maybe now I could be wrong. This is just a hunch that has something to do with the storytelling and the characters and the artwork. Maybe not necessarily the nostalgia, quote unquote. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong.
Um, well, you're not. um, bad vibes in the chat. Honestly, just tell the story and don't change the characters. It's simple. They could address any issue and not piss off the fans half as bad. Yeah, but then you couldn't get your virtue points on Twitter.
Well, that actually he makes a good point there. So one issue I did pick up this week because I was morbidly curious
Mm-hmm.
was Green Lantern and Huckleberry Hound.
Yeah.
It was weird as shit for one, because I thought it was going to be some weird like dimensional thing where he gets like stuck in some like cartoon universe or something. No, Huckleberry Hound is just lives in the DC universe and is just a person there. It's
Well,
really weird.
Hanna Barbera is owned by Warner Entertainment,
Yeah, I know.
so they
But
did the
still,
same thing
they
last
were
year.
just like,
It was actually pretty interesting. They put out a series of books called Future Quest, and that merged the Johnny Quest, Space Ghost, the Incredibles, the Herculoids, um, all of those universes together, and then they also put out Scooby Apocalypse, which was pretty fantastic.
hmm.
Yeah.
But
Um,
see, now, the interesting part about this is it was Jon Stewart. That's why I brought him up earlier because it was in my head.
of the
But it
Daily
was
Show.
like right after, yes, the old white black guy.
Yeah.
But it was like right after he kind of completed his Green Lantern training, if you will, and is sent back to Earth. like right after the Vietnam War, during like when the civil rights movement is about to start. Like you see a flashback to him in Detroit during the riots. So there were some cool like story elements to it, but at the at the end there was some obnoxious woke dialogue, which was almost forgivable because it was a historic piece, if you will, supposed to be taking place during the civil rights movement. But at the same time, it was a little. I mean,
A little
I
on
don't
the
know.
nose.
Maybe if it,
You are you. I agree with
it
everything you're
wasn't, it
saying right
wasn't because. God damn it!
now.
What the shit?
Yep. Just hate you. That's
Hey,
all it
Novel
is.
Bro. Um,
Yep. Novel
yeah,
Bro in the chat.
but because it was a period piece, it was, some of it was, okay, I can let this slide because of the time period that the story is taking place and who this character is. But kind of some of the police brutality, like anti-black stuff, was a little bit blown out of proportion. I, kind of rolled my
What
eyes a little bit.
what
Like,
what does
okay,
this
now.
have to do with Huckleberry Hound?
Honest, exactly. It was so weird.
Like this seems like it's a
Like I said, it was weird as shit.
this is like a depressing, like a black and white comic book story that you give away as to shame people, not something you put a blue cartoon character into. What the fuck?
Well, Huckleberry Hound was like a has-been's like cartoon character, quote unquote, and he was doing like stand-up comedy. And Green Lantern goes to like his stand-up comedy show, and then like runs into him at the bar next door afterwards, and they start talking, and then he talks
Right,
about how he
like you
grew up
do
in the
with a
South
cartoon
around
dog.
like KKK. Yeah, how he grew up around like KKK people, and he never understood why they hated black people so much because he's a blue anthropomorphic dog that talks and smokes cigarettes. He also
Right.
smokes cigarettes.
Right.
He's
Yeah,
sitting in the bar
absolutely kid friendly.
smoking.
This is something awesome to market to children because
Like I said, it was super super weird, and I would have loved it a lot more if not for a little bit of the over the top like police brutality, racism stuff. If they would have made it a little bit more subtle and not so in your face, I would have loved that book, and I would have been like, hey, let's talk about this tonight.
we'll
But
have to get you
since it was
some
like,
second printings of the original ones. They were much better.
I mean, it was still good. It was fine. It was fun. It was, like I said, weird as shit. But it was just that one element just was kind of like, it didn't feel genuine. Like they weren't doing it to tell this story. They were doing it to say like, hey, we don't hate black people. We empathize with their plight 40 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, or 50 years ago at this point. Yeah,
Uh,
but
yeah. There's always a chance to be woke. They're gonna take it. So
yeah, I
so
just think
let's
they missed a really good opportunity to do a buddy cop story with Huckleberry Hound and Green Lantern.
yes, give Huckleberry Hound a Green Lantern ring right now.
Oh no, I'm thinking him with like a 6-shooter
No, made
with the
out of
cigarette
Green
still.
Lantern energy. Or you make him a Red Lantern. Even better. You just let all that rage out from being a comic or a cartoon character. And then he
See,
can get into a fight with the Red Lantern cat. It'll be great. Why am I not writing for DC right now?
come on, DC. We should really be story runners.
All right, the next thing we got to talk about, Stanley's daughter, J.C. Lee, hopes to sever ties with POW owners. That's POW Entertainment, the company started up by Lee. for his untimely death. It was bought by some Chinese investors at some point, I believe, and
See, they're just
uh,
getting back at the comic industry for being racist in the 30s.
well, they need to go after radio next then. um, Casey Lee, the daughter of comic book legend Stan Lee, announced today that Lee's estate will sever ties with the scandal plague Kamsing International. Kamsing, headquartered out of Hong Kong, is the subject of a fraud inquiry in China, and Lee says that she believes criminal behavior to be going on. The company purchased Lee's POW Entertainment in 2017. In a statement, Lee told Variety that she decided to sever ties after learning of Kamsing's criminality. The last years of his life after the loss of his wife. Hey, there's a rhyme scheme there. Pretty good. Good on you. And with his own failing health, Lee appeared to be surrounded by people and entities with competing and sometimes apparently criminal agendas. And they'll get more into that later, but yeah.
Well, real quick, entities. Are they talking like the Clockwork Elves, or
No,
like the
th-
psychic vampire type entities,
no, they're
or?
talking about the companies that tried to rob him for everything he was worth.
Uh,
No, the
oh, okay,
Clockwork
my
Elves
bad.
were actually on his side.
That would make sense because I'm assuming he created them.
Probably. Or at least took credit for
Well, yeah.
it. No shade on Stan Lee either. If you can get it, get it. But there is some alleging that he took credit for a lot more of the character creations than he actually did. But they wouldn't have survived without his name. So I mean, at the same time, it's kind of like Elvis and his music.
Right.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah.
Blue suede shoes would never be a hit without Elvis. We all know he didn't write
That's
that
true.
shit.
Although, you know, Carl Perkins' original version's way better, but
Definitely. But you're the musician here. I'm definitely going to agree with you on that. I don't.
I don't really like Elvis, so.
All right, that's it. You're fired.
But,
Let me pull up voice meter here.
I mean, he's a
No,
he's a
no,
good
you're
performer.
fired. So now that we've gotten that out of the way, I just said, oh, I'm gonna go with you on the music thing. No, I hate Elvis. No, I regret saying
I
anything
did say
ever.
I did say I hated him. I said I don't really like him.
uh, uh, oh great, Chicom narratives to come. Believe that is a China communist term there. Besides Kamsing, representatives for Lee spent months going back and forth with each other, with the police being called to his home at one point. Allegations of elder abuse surfaced not long before his death, and Lee himself appeared to be barely conscious at several convention appearances, with his agents and business partners keeping him busy in spite of what fans thought looked like exhaustion and poor health. I saw a video of that and almost cried. Like it sparked Kevin Smith to even come out and offer Stan Lee a place to stay. Like Kevin Smith was like, "Dude, I will take
Oh
care of
yeah.
you." And that
I mean,
was
dude was
uh,
old as fuck. Why are you like shoveling him around all these damn conventions and
oh,
shit?
dude,
Anyways.
dude, it got to the point where he couldn't even see what he was signing. Like somebody had to like move his hand to the spot where he was supposed to put a signature. It was so sad.
Oh yeah.
Have
It's
some fucking
ridiculous.
respect.
Yeah.
At one point, some of Lee's blood was drawn, perhaps against his will, be used in a special printing of a comic that would have had DNA
What?
ink, an echo to something that Lee did with Kiss decades before. Yeah, Gene Simmons and the members of Kiss donated vials of blood to be mixed into the red ink of the comic,
That
and
sounds about right.
and somebody got a hold of a vial of Stanley's blood and there's a lot of speculation that it was taken against his will and sold to the highest bidder so that they could use it. But I don't know. I don't know that it ever happened. So that's something to maybe
I
look
mean,
into
I
for a
wouldn't be
later date. But
surprised if it did.
it it pisses me off so much to think about. I don't know that I ever really want.
Oh yeah. I mean,
His
morbid curiosity. Yeah, I kind of want to look into it, but
Yeah. His longtime business manager, Kia Morgan, who is a scumbag piece of trash,
oh
was
yeah,
recently charged with elder abuse. We talked about him on one of our earlier shows, one of our earliest shows, actually. Um,
yeah, that was
there was
a long ass time ago. Damn.
it was. We've been doing this show a lot longer than I. Result of a nearly year-long look into the allegations made against him before Lee's death. Cannot tolerate, nor would have ever tolerated, his name, likeness, and rights of publicity be associated with such criminality. Criminality that apparently was going on the time Stan allegedly entered the deal with Kamsing and Powell. JC said in a statement, "It is the estate's position that neither Powell nor Kamsing have any right to Stanley's name, likeness, or legacy. Lee herself has been at odds with Lee's various business partners and appears to have spent some of the time since he passed away in November, trying to make sense of his affairs. In June, she sued Lee's longtime business associate, Max Anderson. Among the alleged allegations that Lee's daughter has made in the last year or so, the claim of sexual harassment brought against the or so is the claim that sexual harassment claims made against the aging comic book writer editor. He allegedly groped and made inappropriate comments to nurses taking care of him in his home. Not been reported to her until they were already in the news. So she's going after Max. That was a little confusing. To basically, she's going after Max Anderson for not informing her of that being a story before it was a story. Basically,
yeah.
in her suit, Lee is accusing Anderson and two more of her father's aides for manipulating him into abusive practices for profit off of the memorabilia businesses. For one specific example, she noted that her father made over $800,000 from an appearance at New York Comic Con. Anderson raked in nearly $700,000 despite only being due to receive 10 to 25%. Sounds like Lee's estate is now attempting to recoup the losses from the end of his life, hoping they can get restitution from parties they believe have been taking advantage of him.
Jeez.
Yeah, it's depressing, but it also makes you wonder, like, where the hell were these people looking to help him while he was alive?
Right. I mean, really, as far as like big people in the industry, Kevin Smith's the only one who actually wanted to, like, at least appeared to actually want to help. Maybe people did in the background and were afraid to speak out because of contract stuff. Who knows? But
Yeah,
I mean, Kevin Smith, you the real MVP here.
right. Um, yeah, I mean, there's some debate on. There's a debate going on in the chat, but yeah, there's some debate on whether Stan Lee was solely responsible for all of the creations he's credited with. Um, I don't know. I wasn't there, but he's credited with them now, so I'm not. I'm I'm not gonna march a dead man and say, "Oh, he was a thief." I don't know.
And, well, and you know, it's like back then, not just the comic industry, but all kind of like creative medium industries, it was a little bit more ambiguous to this kind of stuff. Like Led Zeppelin got in huge trouble for redoing old blues songs that nobody had ever heard of until they did them. So it's kind of like, even if he did take credit for characters that he wasn't as involved in as he might have, we still have these characters
Well,
because of his influence of it. You know, it's kind of like this double-edged sword sort of thing. Like, do we appreciate the preservation of these works because of the name that got attached to them later, or or no, don't do that because that would be bad and I don't know, probably racist somehow.
Well, that brings up the point of, Melodati in the chat said, I think it was to sell books, which I'm more okay with. And we have to look at this and we have to realize no matter who is credited for any of these things, every one of these creators were stolen from by the publisher. Um,
Right.
Simon and Schuster, uh, Batman. Uh, it just every one of these characters was created and then basically taken by the publisher. So it
Yeah,
it's disgusting,
which is
and that
impressive for Usagi Jimbo that it's basically just still like it's still owned by him. You
oh
know,
yeah, yeah, Spencer
it's
Kai.
super impressive. Yes, thank you. I was blanking. I blanked on his name for a sec.
Um, no, and it's been going on for a long ass time too. Uh,
Yeah,
so, but I think
which
we're
I don't know if you've read the
go ahead.
issue two yet from issue two yet from the reboot, for lack of a better term.
Have the
Not
brand
bad.
shift. I think they need to keep the original numbering and just shift the publisher.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm definitely going to be following it and probably buying a bunch of old trade
IDW.
stuff. But
Well, IDW is going to be putting out collected volumes of all of the old works.
oh, sweet.
Yeah, so you'll be able to get it all under IDW's print, and all of your trades will match. Because that's one thing that I
Awesome.
like. I can't stand to do is to switch volumes in a series. Like I'd hate to have one omnibus of The Walking Dead and then the rest of the small trades. I'm going to have it all in one format. It just looks better. It looks better
Yeah,
on a shelf.
it does. I'll give you that.
So I
Which
think
I'm
it's
running out of room on my shelf now. But
good. Good. Um, I think it's close enough to the halfway mark that we can go ahead and talk about Alternaween real quick. Um,
oh,
yeah,
it's
I'm.
time for our weekly Alterna Shill.
Well, I missed this last year. I didn't even know it was a thing, and shame on me for that. But um, as the description says, Alternaween is back. Use our comics as trick or treats this Halloween and help us continue to grow. They are at $1,883 of a $5,000 fixed goal with 21 days left. Now, Alternaween, let me just scroll through some of the images here. First off, there's a rat with some cheese. These are all comic stills. There's a futuristic space bug band. There's a Bigfoot in the wild with a skeleton man. Peach Saliva would be all over herself right now. We read this. Name Actual Roger.
Oh yeah, that was a weird one.
Yeah, that's Adam Reck. I remember that. Adam Reck was a good series, but this is just kind of a sampling of some of the artwork you'll get from Alterna Comics. A lot of all ages books, which are fantastic for kids been giving out in Halloween.
Yeah, definitely don't give them like Midnight Mysteries or Unit 44. But
But yeah,
oh,
there's
do
an
they have
11 by. Go ahead.
the mascot? Oh, damn it, what's it? The Mighty Mascots. I think that's what it's called.
It's bundles. It's just different bundles that you can get. There are some T-shirts available. They've got a 200 mixed bundle,
Hats.
200 randomly assorted comics and alternate calendars. Then they have a 100 bundle with all ages and just an alternate calendar. But Basically, they've got several different tiers here. You can get the trick or treater bundle for like one person. It's like dollars, and it's a tote bag, some silly putty, a random kid friendly comic, an alternate calendar. I support my local comic shop sticker, and 2 pins. Um, the exclusive calendar. Why the images didn't look. Hat that we saw earlier. The team comic shirt we saw earlier. 4-color shirt. 25 calendar. 25 all ages bundle. Um, Obviously 25 all ages comics. There we go. Now everything's gone. It's just a 25 randomly assorted comics and a calendar. 50 assorted all ages comics. Randomly assorted all ages young adult and mature readers bundle. Shirts. Get the 100 retailer bundle for $50. That's 50 cents a comic, for God's sake. And you
Yep,
get a calendar, and you get a sticker, and you get a pen. I mean, we're talking 50 cents of comics here that you can just give away at Halloween instead of buying candy.
and
100
I
all
mean,
ages. Get the 100 all ages bundle. A little bit more. The retailer bundle is just for retailers. This is 70 cents a comic. 100 random all ages comics, perfect for trick or treaters. Comic conditions can vary from very good, fine to mint. That's probably just shipping and handling kind of thing, but it's basically
right.
a warning. You get a poster, 100 comics, the pen, the sticker, calendar, and it goes all the way up. You can get up to 200, and you really do get them at 50 cents a piece for that. And $100, and you get 200 books to hand out. It's a great way to give comics to kids, and Alternative's always quality content. So,
And
um,
and that newsprint though, it's
that's right.
fantastic.
Right. Last year, we launched our first ever Alternaween, and thanks to nearly 500 backers, it was a success. We were able to put our comics in the hand of trick or treaters everywhere, as well expand as our distribution into stores like Sheets. This year, we're back at it again with even more comics and fun for readers of all ages. Alternaween, an important event for many children. These comics will be the first ones they've ever read, and it'll be because of your support. And that's an important thing to think about. Um, there used to be a saying back when I was a kid, and Stan Lee, I believe, coined the saying, but it was every comic is somebody's first comic.
Yeah.
Uh,
Man, there's some craziness going on in the chat right now.
there is, I
Anyways.
like it. But no, I like the idea of being able to give out good independent comics. And somebody made a post on Twitter and they said, well, a number two or a number three of a 4-part series doesn't help. And I responded that I respect that mentality of everybody wants a number one, but a true comic fan will look at a number three, and if they like what they see as far as the artwork and the story goes, they're
They'll go buy
gonna
the rest of it.
yeah, they're gonna go look for the rest of it. And some of the best comics I've ever read have come out of a back issue bin. While I was looking for number 26 of this obscure, spectacular, amazing, phenomenal Spider-Man book.
Right.
You know, the idea of picking up a book at 120 is daunting to a new reader, but comic book person, I mean, that just means I have 99, 100 other ones to pick up.
Yeah.
And most
I
writers
mean,
are
it's
smart
like,
enough to chunk it off into 3-part story arcs, so you just need either the 2 or 3 before or the 2 or 3 after it to complete the story anyway.
Right. I mean, another comic I picked up this week was Samurai Grandpa, but was number 2 because I wasn't able to get the number 1. I haven't read it yet, but it sounds amazing, and I'm probably gonna go and see if I can find number 1 somewhere, just
Yeah, right.
because
The
you
hunt
know.
for back
I mean,
issues is what feeds the comic book industry, and back issues. That's another thing. Back issues sales help comic stores more than they do publishers. And I think that's what pisses off people about the fact that nostalgia sales. You know,
right,
I picked up, like I said, I found a pristine copy of Marvel versus DC and DC versus Marvel in a back issue box that just walked into the store that I shop at. And I was like, I need that. I need that now. And I probably overpaid for the issues, but I don't care because
right,
they're the old cardstock covers, the interior's printed on good paper, the ink doesn't run off in your hand. And it was a
nice.
story that was good enough that we've covered it on this show because I loved it so much.
Yeah, I mean, it's
So,
like me going out of my way and paying $35 for 7 different issues of adolescent radioactive black belt hamsters.
right. So, anyway, that was a little bit of a sidetrack, but go check out Alternaween. Even if you don't
Or
want to,
Alterna in general.
yeah, absolutely. But I definitely want to promote this Indiegogo.
Oh yeah,
Alternaween.
definitely.
If you have trick or treaters, it's definitely worth it to just pick up 25 comics and drop them into trick or treat bags. Um, Most people that do
Yeah,
have trick or treaters spend $25 on comic or on candy anyway. So what's the worst that could happen, right? But
yeah. I mean, definitely do it. And if anybody's here that hasn't checked out Alterna yet, my top picks from their stuff: Midnight Mysteries, Unit 44, good, and Mighty Mascots. Those are 3 very good, very different stories that you can get, all from the same publisher, different age ranges, uh, different genres, if you will. So if you're looking for a place to start, I would suggest checking out those 3.
yeah, definitely. And if you have small children or anything like that, Alterna offers a broad range of all ages, young adult, and mature audience comics. One of their comic books from last year, The Chair, actually recently had a motion picture release.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think that's on Amazon Prime,
Huh.
or at least on
Let's add
Amazon.
that. Let's add that to the show notes.
Yeah, but no. Anyway, that's my shill for Alterna. Check it out. Even if you don't back it, share it around. Make sure everybody that would be interested in it gets their eyes on it. Because Peter Samedi's a great guy. You know, he started the hashtag. I believe he started the hashtag Team Comics. But if he didn't, he promotes it, and he really loves this medium. He really loves the industry, and he loves his
He,
fans. He
and
puts out a
he's the
quality
kind of
product.
person. He's the kind of person that we need to promote and push farther into the spotlight in this industry. Not
Uh,
somebody who has disdain for the fans and
yeah. Or Peter
just
Samedi's
got
left
hired
Mark
on.
Wade's.
Exactly. I mean, it's this is who we need. We need a Peter Samedi running all of the publishers.
Right.
We
But
basically we need to. Okay, so next time it, there's a Comic Con close by. Here's my plan. All right, follow me here,
yeah.
church. The next closest con that he's going to be at, I'll figure out a way to get to it, and I'll somehow get a strand of his hair, and we can clone like 12 of him,
Hmm.
and then just send him to take over all the other comic publishers, and then we can make comics great again. Yeah, sound like
Uh,
I think it would work.
I'm gonna disavow. Um, that sounds very illegal. I'm gonna say in Minecraft, and yeah, I think
Oh
that
well,
covers
yeah,
it.
in Minecraft. Sorry, I forgot that part. My bad.
Okay, yeah. Um, anyway, the next story is kind of a downer after the positivity that
Don't
is all
don't
turn away.
don't disavow me, Melodati. You know you're down for that idea.
So I don't know if anybody is familiar with Amethyst Princess of Gem World. Uh, it's a very obscure comic, I believe from the 70s or 80s. I've got like 6 or 7 issues of it that I found, and I was just like, "What is this?" I was like, "Ooh, this is not for me." But it wasn't bad. Um, but the creator, or the artist and co-creator of Amethyst, Ernie Colon, dies at 88. The prolific comic book artist, writer, and editor has passed away at the age of 88 after a battle with cancer. The announcement came via his Facebook page Friday morning. It reads, I'm posting today with the heavy heart. The extraordinary Ernie Colon has passed away yesterday afternoon at his home at the age of 88, surrounded by family after over a year of battling, and I mean battling, cancer. He did things on his own terms. The legacy he leaves behind is astonishing. A 60-plus years career in comics, not to mention the work he did in other mediums, including painting, writing, sculpting. I don't think there was anything he couldn't love to create. He was always creating. When people asked if he was still drawing, he said, no idea what else I would be doing, since I would draw even if not paid for it. That's the story of my life. Lon began his career in the 60s as the letterer for Harvey Comics, where he worked as an uncredited penciler on Richie Rich and Casper the Friendly Ghost, who I think are the same person. Get with me later on that.
Oh, definitely.
Um, while at Harvey, Kalan met Sid Jacobson, who became his longtime friend and creative partner. In 2006, the pair teamed up for the graphic adaptation of the 9/11 Commission report. The two would continue to release additional historical graphic works like their 2010 graphic biography about Anne Frank. During the 1970s, he made the jump to horror with Warren Publishing, where he contributed his talents to Vampirella, Eerie, and Creepy. Let's just take a minute. His work spans from stuff like historical graphic biographies like Anne Frank to Vampirella and Eerie and Creepy. Um, that's a range. That's nothing to
Oh,
scoff at.
no, no, not at all.
In 1979, he worked on the Marvel adaptation of Battlestar Galactica with writer Roger McKenzie. Bond spent most of his time at DC in the 80s, where he served editor on titles like Wonder Woman, The Green Lantern, and The Flash. Such an illustrious career, it's difficult to point out a single comic or issue as wholly representative of the credible body of work. Basically, what we just said in more words. Many, however, know
That's
him
because
best
we're
for
not journalists.
yeah. Thank God for small favors. Many, however, know him best for his work with the late Dwayne McDuffie on Marvel's Damage Control. Equally well known for co-creating DC's Amethyst Princess of Gemworld and Arok Son of Thunder. Now, Arok Son of Thunder, I have like 60% of.
I'm not surprised. I've
Yeah,
seen your pictures of your collection.
I'm missing some issues, but not a lot. Um, Blunt's distinctive style leads itself well to DC's 1980s science fiction mainstay. Born in Puerto Rico on July 13th, 1931, but grew up in mainland USA. Lon had been battling cancer over the last year. He passed away at his home surrounded by friends and family. Well, I mean, journalism for you. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you But yeah, yeah, F in the chat for Ernie. Um, Stuff that he
Oh,
created. We've got I've got a topic that we need to touch on later on. My wife pointed out to me the creator of Lobo actually wrote one of her favorite stories, and we started talking about the volume of this guy's work, and it never ends. Like he did Ed, Ed and Eddie. The guy did Ed, Ed and Eddie. He created Lobo.
really?
Yeah, same guy.
Man.
Not this guy, but another one. Not Ernie, but another guy, and we'll
Yeah.
talk about
Yeah.
him in a later show. But yeah, there's
Jeez.
a lot. But she was just kind of going through
Denny,
his
if
Wikipedia.
you have if
But
if Denny happens to pop in and hear this at all, you better, hit up EVS. I want to see you do some good stuff.
I want to read your Wikipedia article one day and be like, "Yep, I retweeted that guy." I commissioned some of his
And
work before he was famous.
and then me and Church are gonna come crash your mansion, and we're gonna get drunk and do our stream from there.
I disavow. Although he
No,
probably
you
would have
don't.
better internet.
Don't. Exactly. It would be the best sounding show we'll ever have.
I was gonna say he probably would have better internet than I do.
I mean, and I'm just on a mobile signal, so
Oh, I do. I do have plenty of issues. That is correct. We're up. We're super up, Nettie. All right. One more article to go through, and then we'll go through that Twitter thread from Comic Perch that I was talking about in the description. So this kind of ties back into the Dan DiDio article that we talked about. I even saw it on the same website, but this one's been going around a little bit further than that one did. Close down some ads here. Love to get you on those ads. No,
of course.
neither. Disabled at least. Okay. Jim Lee, DC Digital Comic sales plateauing and disheartening. So, and on the same day, Lee and Dan DiDio both submitted articles were submitted about both Jim Lee and Dan DiDio being like, "This industry is
We're
bullshit." DC co-publisher and chief creative officer Jim Lee, I think that's a mistype there, chief creative officer Jim Lee has opened up about the state of DC digital comic offerings, including the publisher DC Universe streaming service, which hosts a number of original DC TV shows, along with the collection of DC comic books. DC, DC, DC. We're going to say it as many times as we can. According to
DC.
Lee, DC Universe is thriving while DC's individual digital comics are not doing well. In fact, in Lee's words, DC's digital sales have hit a wall. All right. I think it.
Imagine my shock.
See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times they say DC in that first paragraph.
Hey, you got to get that word count in.
You do. But DC isn't even a word.
It counts. There's a space in between it and the next word that you say.
I hate you so much. On the digital side, I think it's been pretty flat in recent years, which is a little disheartening, DC told ICV2 about plateauing digital comic sales. A lot of moving to subscription and having downward pressure on transactional sales. I think it's discouraging in general because everyone talks about digital being the future. If there's anything that should continue to grow year in and year out, it should be that channel. In fact, fact that it's kind of plateaued and we've hit a wall speaks a lot to different things. Continued. We need to reinvent what we're doing digitally. The subscription service that we're doing with DC Universe platform is part of that. We just have to get better at marketing to the people who know our characters, love our characters, but aren't buying comics. As for what the plateau in digital sales means for the DC Universe service, Lee still sees DC Universe as the future of the publisher, with subscriptions remaining active and outpacing individual digital comic sales. So this could be very telling. That statement alone could kind of be a Freudian slip, if you will, that they're not even planning on having a publishing arm of DC in the future. They're planning on putting all their chips in the digital basket and using their marketing power to try and push that and their TV shows.
Which, okay, I I know we've probably talked about this at some point before, but reading a digital comic is not the same as having it in front of you and flipping the pages,
No,
right?
no, it is not.
I'm not just super old, right? Like there's something about flipping the actual pages of it. Yeah, and actually
Yeah,
physically owning it, like looking over at my shelf right now and, you know, seeing it kind of overflowing with comics at the moment.
right.
But it's like now I'll give the um X-Men 92. Like that was a good digital comic because of the interactiveness of it, but
Mhm.
like just kind of swiping, like I could be reading like a normal comic book. It's not the same. It's way more enjoyable to sit there with an actual physical book reading it.
Right. Well,
And I think that's the problem is so many things are going digital, and so they're like, oh, we need to promote everything digital. I don't think it's a viable business strategy for like long term. But
comics inherently are made to be collected. That's the
yeah,
thing. That's the thing that most people don't talk about. Comics are made to be collected.
oh,
Where you,
I mean, uh, well, yeah, I mean, that's the fun of it. Like Killer Groove that I started reading however many months ago now at this point. Like every month I'm excited for the next one to come out to add to the collection.
right.
If it was just a download, like, oh, whoop de doo,
Well,
whatever.
and well, and you know, there's an argument to be made for that too. Now, to play devil's advocate there, to a certain degree, it's very convenient if you read a lot of comics to be able to carry them around on a tablet with Comixology. Um,
Yes, I
you
I
know,
agree with that.
if you
I
got
I
an
did
8 hour
use that when
flight,
I was. Oh yeah,
you,
I totally read comics on my iPad on my flights
yeah.
when I was going to and from Peru.
So I
But
don't, you know, I do think that if you like something you read digitally, you're more inclined to buy it physically, though. So it's really a swing and like a personal preference thing. And in the digital world, more kids are never going to buy a physical comic book, but might be interested in reading a digital one. And if that's the market that you have to master to capture the kid audience again, then do it.
yeah, I can see that.
You
For me,
know,
it's kind
these,
of the opposite. Like,
well,
you
these
know how
industries,
movies,
go ahead.
like when you buy a movie or something, they come with like a free digital download. Like,
Hmm.
I see that as more of a practical solution to kind of merging the two, at least at this point.
Well,
With,
that's what
I mean,
Marvel and DC already do, though. I mean, they already have a code for digital downloads of a comic you buy.
do they? I guess I
Yeah,
don't buy enough of their
yeah,
comics these days. God
yeah.
dang.
It's a little sticker on the inside of the book that you have to peel out. And I think that stops a lot of people from doing it because it does depreciate the value of the book, which is already worthless. But well, that's another topic for another day.
Yes.
Um, you know, animation's doing the same thing, letting the creative staff go, like all of them. Blacklight comic reading for the win. Yeah, that seems like it would be really bad on LSD and Minecraft. Um, but let's see here, where were we? I think there's always going to be room for a tool that allows us to engage directly with fans. That is the future. If I could borrow that line from Digital, said we really have nothing like it. So creating something that is a place where all DC fans can come together, buy, read, enjoy, connect. Buy. First one. Buy.
Yeah.
Leave that out of your quote. A place where fans can come together, read, enjoy, and connect and communicate with, or share community with one another is vital and important. Buy. You had to throw buy in there. Worried about the bottom line. We get that. Don't broadcast it.
Well, and that's the other thing is buying something digital, it doesn't feel like you actually own it.
You don't, and that's the problem.
Yeah,
And another thing that a lot of people bring up is that when you buy a digital comic, you spend the same amount that you do on the physical comic.
which is bullshit.
Right. Like it should at least be a couple of dollars cheaper to cover printing costs. If you need to get royalties to pay the artist and whatnot. I get that. It can't be free.
It should be half. It should be half.
Right. So, but
If it's $4.99 printed, $2.99 digital,
right.
I'm okay with that.
$2.50, but yeah, 49. Math is our strong suit, children.
Well, you know what I mean.
But anyway, when pressed if original content would include more DC TV shows such as Titan and Doom Patrol in light of Warner Brothers' impending launch of the HBO Max streaming service, which will incorporate Doom Patrol at least, Lee was more cagey about that prospect, focusing on speaking instead about the aspect of DC Universe. Original content, and obviously a lot of people go to watch the older material as well, archive material, the library material, Lee explained. That's a big part of it. Then obviously the comics. There are a lot of readers that are just reading the comics as well. That's a great value proposition. We love being able to communicate directly with the fans so we've been building up a real life experience and rewards so that you get out of being a member. He continued, it's not just being able to watch what you want when you want, but actually coming to conventions like this and being able to go to activations, get behind the scenes tours, special products, meet and greets, all that kind of stuff. In the interview conducted prior to the announcement that Doom Patrol would come to HBO Max, Lee said that it was too early to say how media might be shared between the two platforms. Well, it's not going to be shared between the two platforms. You're going to get you're going to get the stuff on one and the stuff on the other, and they're going to expect you to buy both of them.
Right. Now, here's this for an idea. They're complaining about the reprint sales. What if you offer like full reprint collections for like $5, like an entire storyline from like back when they were super racist against Chinese? Offer that entire.
You really like being racist against the Chinese with your comics, don't you?
It just makes me laugh. I don't know why. Because I guess because Chinese people, outperform white people in academics and earnings over their lifetime. So
that's racist, sir. They are just as much of a fuck up as we are.
But
They
yeah,
have just as much of an opportunity to fail as we do.
see, but they're better at math.
Yeah, that's. Mm, you make it hard, right?
Okay, okay. I have never been better at math than an Asian person in my life.
Yes, but you
So,
just thought
but
half of $4.99 was $2.99. So I mean, you're not better at math than a church.
that is besides the point.
uh,
Anyways, like reprint like chunks of these old storylines in digital format. We have the technology, and offer like a however like 12 issue storylines for like $4
yeah.
digitally. If you're gonna do something like that, at least give us something that's worth the time and money of doing it, and make it a full download. You can keep it on your hard drive. You don't have to like sign into a website to read it. You can just pull it right up on your phone or tablet, computer, whatever.
Piracy is the problem with that.
Uh, yeah, well, it's a problem anyways. There's no way around it.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's nothing stopping me from screenshotting a high-res version of anything I get on
Exactly.
Comixology and making a digital comic, and except laziness. Laziness stops me from doing
Exactly. I mean, you could in theory, you could put a DVD in your computer and screen record the entire movie and give it to somebody.
it. Right.
There's always a way around the protections, but that's stop focusing so much on that, and care about your fan base
Yeah.
and give us shit we want.
Well, I think all of this, and we'll get into this Twitter thread in a minute. Um, but I think all of this just kind of goes to show what the main takeaway is that it's it's not about the big two anymore. Mainstream Marvel and DC comics, check
Are
out.
horrible.
You need to check out. You need to start supporting independent books, whether it's Alterna, IDW, Dark Horse, Boom, Image, anybody. Just find some independent books.
Aftershock.
American Mythology. There's hundreds of publishers out there. Comicsgate. Get on
Yeah.
Indiegogo. Look at the top 3 comics. They've outsold anything Marvel and DC have done in the last 2 years. You show me a
Go
comic
check out
book that's made. Yeah,
Monster MD.
yeah. You show me a
Come on.
comic book that's made $750,000 like Earthworm Jim has, or almost $1,000,000 like Cyberfrog has.
Right.
I mean, come on. So that's just
I mean, the big two. Stop giving us these shit 26 pages. Just write one big story, 100-page book, no goddamn ads, and sell it
mhm.
to us for $20.
Yeah, crowdfund it. Yeah, put it on
I
Indiegogo. Give it to me for $20
I
plus shipping.
yeah, or even just send it to the stores. I'd buy a 100-page, 15 $20 Wolverine or Green Lantern story if it's good.
Yeah,
you know.
well, no, that's why I say send it to Indiegogo. Put it through the test. Find out how many people that actually buy comics would buy your book. If they don't, you'll change something eventually, or you'll never sell one.
Right.
You know,
That
it's
that would
simple
be
as that.
fun to watch.
You know, yeah.
Watch
Well, I mean, it
watch the
happened.
big two try to put that on Indiegogo and watch them fail.
Well, it happened, and in a smaller, more controlled environment.
Yeah.
What was it? Deadbeats by Renfamous and 40 other semi-professional creators couldn't even scratch what the Case of the Littlest Umbrella picked up.
Right.
Just, they couldn't even do it, and these are pro people with hundreds of thousands of followers between them. Um, yeah, Bad Vibes giving us ideas on how to pirate comics. Yeah, it's definitely possible. I just say that that's the reason that a lot of people are weary about doing unprotected digital copies. And I get it. I do. As a business person, I understand it. I wouldn't want to just hand somebody something that I knew that they could just go to give to everyone else that I was trying to sell. At the same time,
But at
the
coming
best
from a
selling the best selling Radiohead album that I have ever heard of was the one they gave away for free. Essentially, you just paid what you wanted for it.
right, I mean, uh, weird weird enough reference. Weird Al Yankovic, uh, back in I don't know, maybe like 2015, released a song called "Don't Download This Song," talking
Yeah.
about illegal download that was only available as a free download on his website.
Huh.
I mean,
That's funny.
oh, it's a great song too. But and like as an artist, personally, like would I love to make money from people buying my music and stuff? Yes, that would be fantastic. But I just want people. I want people to just enjoy it. Like
Right.
that's the point of art. Like it's gotten so corporatized over the past I don't know 30 years or so, maybe, that it's kind of lost the spirit of it. I
Oh,
mean, you know how many
absolutely.
bootleg records I have from the 70s in my collection?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know how many times, dude? You remember sitting with the old fucking Benzie box with a recordable cassette tape, listening to the radio
Oh,
in a
hell yeah.
silent closet in your house, hoping that no one came looking for you while your song was playing, so that you could
Which,
get
I've three younger siblings, so it wasn't always silent. But
no, no. But you were just looking to try and get that one time that your song was coming on the radio, so you could make your quote unquote mixtape. Yeah,
which, by
I'm.
by the way, kids, that's where the term mixtape comes from.
That's right.
And
That
you
is.
used to have to actually turn a crank to roll the window down. That's why it's called rolling the window down.
You're showing your age here. Let's not. So
My car also doesn't shift by itself. I have to do it. I have to do it.
one thing I did want to talk about. I saw this today. Comic Perch put this up on Twitter. I did ask their permission before I just pulled it up.
Oh
Fair
my god.
use, whatever. But I did ask permission before I just blatantly stole their tweet um, to talk about. But we brought this up before. There was a time in the '90s, and excuse me, if you went looking for Batman or Wolverine, you could definitely find them because they were in like one of 60
Ev-
places simultaneously. Now, Batman would finish up a caper with Scooby Doo and have to jump in the Pacific Ocean to swim across the Pacific Ocean to get to Europe so that he could show up in the X-Men crossover. Wolverine was on his way back from Canada, an Alpha Flight, still working with the X-Men, due on a cartoon show at 2 p.m. I
right.
mean, they were everywhere, and it didn't make a lot of sense in the terms of comics. And for a while, the industry kind of got away from doing stuff like that, and you kind of look at it and you go, okay, it was comic books, so obviously these things just aren't taking place at the same time. Whatever.
Right.
But it becomes kind of an issue when a key villain or character is appearing at the same place at the same time, continuity wise. And there's a little back and forth to this, but that's something that's always kind of bothered me. So
Yeah, like Wolverine being at Nagasaki and D-Day.
yeah, right, simultaneously.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's Wolverine. He just there were actually two Wolverines. His arm got blown off in Nagasaki, so they just grew a new Wolverine
like
there.
like the three Jokers.
Yeah, We don't talk about that. This week
Yeah,
we got
somebody asked me about that the other week. They were like, "So what do you think about that?" He's like, "I saw one of those YouTube channels that does those stupid theory videos, about the three Jokers." And it's a plot armor device. That's all it is. It's stupid. Anyways,
so this week we got Absolute Carnage #1 and Future Foundation #1. Two new #1 issues, both out the same week. One is billed as the top event this year, which is Maximum Carnage, or Absolute Carnage. The other is a teen-friendly book by creator of The Wasp, and there's one more similarity that makes me angry. Both comics, both put out the same week, use the same character as part of their story. In both cases, the character is promised to have an impact on the story goes on. Problem is, the same character is drawn and, more importantly, written completely different in both books. And this character is the Maker. So here's the Maker, aka Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe. He's been appearing in Venom for a while now. He's stated to be working on a device around the symbiote. Cates has been building him up as a key player in this book. Let's just take a look here. There's the Maker as we know him, the Reed Richards from the Ultimate Universe, with his helmet
and
on.
possibly Charles Xavier from the
Right.
House of X.
Right, absolutely.
Which issue 2 was pretty good. If you haven't read it yet,
I have.
Okay. Anyways.
Right. Also, here's the Maker as he appears as part of a prison breakout that Julie Power is conducting for the Future Foundation. He hasn't appeared in the FF title yet, and apparently he has been in space jail for some time, enough to gather a gang anyway.
Space jail.
So, here's the Maker in Future Foundation. Looks nothing like himself. And they literally have to tell you it's the Maker, aka Reed Richards from 1610. Even though, supposedly, after Secret Wars 2015, 1610 doesn't exist anymore. They were supposed to be doing away with that numbering system. But they can't stick to anything because they don't know what the fuck they're doing.
Because comic books.
Right.
As Clint would say.
This isn't new. For some baffling reason, Marvel continues to latch on to villains and use them in multiple titles all at once. Written in wildly different ways, Dakin, Ultron, Kraven. It feels like there is a mandate to use characters across books with no editorial control. And that's the key of what I wanted to talk about is, one of the things that I think is killing the comic book industry, diamond distribution.
Oh, yes. Which we've
diamond
talked about numerous.
Right. Diamond distribution is not helping the comic book industry in the least. It's a monopoly. It's gross. Fuck Diamond. But
fuck Diamond and everything they represent.
The fact that there's literally, it doesn't seem like there's any editorial control anywhere in the big two. Like as long as you put the toys back in the toy box, they don't seem to give a shit what you do with them. And that's a problem.
Right.
So, Future Foundation is edited by Sarah Bernstad. Absolute Carnage is edited by Devin Lewis. Bernstad reports to Tim Brevoort. Lewis reports to Nick Lowe. Both report to C.B. Cebulski. The main purpose of editorial is to prevent this nonsense and avoid brand confusion. Now, some are quick to point out this isn't a big deal, who cares, the books are marketed to different audience, so what does it matter? Funny thing though, it used to matter a lot. Shooter was aggressive about not letting inconsistent takes run simultaneously. Changed. The answer is seemingly nothing. Recent conversation at a con, CB expressed a desire to maintain continuity and not confuse readers. So, with five editors, how do things like this happen? Is it an oversight or done on purpose? The company advertises writer and editorial summit to coordinate plans. Wouldn't someone point out the key character in Kate's Venom and big event storyline shouldn't be shoved into a new #1 FF spinoff in literally the same week? Isn't that what summits are for?
Right.
Maybe it's not a big deal. Except as people inside the company struggle to understand why new comics don't take off and why the business is struggling or stuttering, excuse me, maybe maybe some of these things do matter, like a whole lot, because in the end it comes down to caring about the product. I know this topic isn't big enough to get coverage on big YouTube channels. It isn't juicy enough or have enough elements of outrage or drama, but I think this is one of the big cancers right now in comics. Hey, and we're not a big YouTube channel, so this is perfect for us.
We're, exactly.
Sends a message to customers about being asked to drop $4 a book. Anyone has the ear to be followed, or ear of the big followed, big subscriber channels. Get them to pay attention to this because it's the stuff that dilutes characters, sends a message, and it all doesn't matter, and it hurts commitment, which all of us in comics need really badly right now. And then they give Hickman, Jesus Christ. Meanwhile, Hickman creates a fucking graphical timeline chart to help explain and clarify the continuity that spans multiple pages. People within the
Which was
company,
so cool.
yeah, people within the company proceed to wonder aloud why book sales are so successful and high, as if people like it when people give a shit.
Right.
And there
I mean,
is one opposing
I mean,
take. Go ahead.
I know we were gonna say halfway through the House of X and Power of X we were gonna talk about it again, but
Yeah,
that timeline diagram was perfect. Like the way he presented it halfway through the story like that was like I couldn't ask for a better way to be able to follow what was going on in that story and easier.
right. Well,
But
I, I mean, it is. It does put a. It puts a big question mark on why the fuck do we even have editors if they're going to let stuff like this happen? Like, why are there five
right,
people that are there? I mean, why don't you just let them write whatever the fuck they want to write?
yeah. I mean, why isn't there somebody like, for the MCU, like a Kevin Feige, like one dude that says this is what's going to happen?
Hmm.
You can
Yeah,
write your story with these constraints, but don't do any other fucky shit.
right. And and then the comic books just aren't seen as important enough for that. I I can't agree with it. I can't. It it's just I don't know. It's so disrespectful. Just so fucking
Yeah.
disrespectful.
Oh yeah. Yeah. I
But
mean, what? Fantastic Four's 55, 60 years old.
something like that. They're a Kirby creation, so that sounds about right.
Yeah. So don't go making a spin-off story of theirs all fucky.
No, it's not even that. You can make it fucky if that's what you want to write. Make
Well,
it fucky. But the thing is, don't put the same character drawn two different ways at the same goddamn time.
and written two different ways. That's what I mean by fucky.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
artistic styling differences that I'm okay with. Different artists drawing characters differently. That's okay. That's not as huge of a deal. But writing the characters differently, like there needs to be like that's what a character is. They have to be that character. You
right.
can't make the character a misogynist that pimp slaps hoes and tells them to make him a sandwich one issue, and then make him a raging feminist the next. Like it's just
Oh
confusing.
yes, they can. They do it.
Okay, well you shouldn't do it.
I mean, they're making Spider-Man like really, really soylent.
Well, because I'm a bit of a misogynist who likes to pimp slap hoes and tell them to make me a sandwich.
Yeah, well,
So
the Fantastic Four are 58 years old.
okay, I was close.
Um, but no, it just why are they paying five editors at Marvel to do this stuff, and it doesn't seem like there's any care or concern given to these books. And then it's the same thing over at DC. I mean, somebody said something that the same thing happened with Two Face at one point. He was in Deathstroke and Batman simultaneously, and DC
Comics.
wonder, yeah, and DC wonders why they're not selling well, and why the old stuff sells better, and why AT&T is probably going to give them the axe. And it's
Oh yeah.
apparent. It's because you don't give a shit about your product anymore.
Right.
It's because people don't care about Batman anymore. Same way people don't care about Star Wars anymore. Like the impossible has happened. You've taken a property that was you couldn't fuck it up. You could not fuck it up if you just kept doing what you were doing with it.
Right.
But you were like,
Like
no,
give us.
we're gonna do something different, and you fucked it up.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you could do something new, but don't give us, Mockingbird asked me about my feminist agenda. Fuck off. Like,
Oh, I mean, you can even do that, but I mean, it makes somewhat sense. Like it wasn't for me, and it wasn't for anybody who actually buys comic books. I don't think
well, yeah,
because
and that's the problem.
a raging feminist isn't even going to walk into a comic book store most of the time unless it's to bother people.
Exactly.
So if a woman's
But
walking into a comic book store to buy comic books, she's probably not a militant feminist.
right. Or she's buying them as a gift
That too.
because she's rolling her eyes at the same time because she's like, my boyfriend's such a dork. But
Fine, but it just it's
but if you
depressing.
lay the pipe well enough, it doesn't matter.
Jesus Christ.
Hey, I had to get one degenerate comment out this episode.
Wasn't the dad joke, it was the degenerate comment. Fucking hell.
You you told me I'm not allowed to make dad jokes anymore because
I
I'm not a
know I
dad.
did well, I said they're not dad jokes, I think was what I was getting at. I think they were just bad jokes, not dad jokes.
Yeah. Well, either
Get change on your 2 cents.
way.
uh
This is
nobody will
not.
ever top the best insult I've ever heard from Nick Ricada. You're so inbred. If you were any more inbred, you'd be a sandwich. But anyway, no, that just kind of it made sense, and it is really sad that there's not enough like spicy drama in that for it to get coverage from channels because I think there's a lot of merit to that.
Yeah.
A raging feminist will walk into a comic book store and tell everyone how sexist they are. That is correct.
Yeah. That's true.
And some of the guys in the comic book store will probably still ask her on a date.
Some of them. What do you mean? What's some of them bullshit? Most of them.
A girl.
There's there's
Get her.
there's a female here. There's a
I will
vagina in
beat
this
you to
store?
death if you look at her again. Fight me in real life.
They're gonna do an old fashioned duel out in the parking lot
That's right.
for her while they tip
But
their fedora and say "milady."
I promise you it's not a fedora. It's a trilby.
Okay, well they call it. Yes, exactly. Novel, bro. Let me protect you, milady.
This is why I love these people. This is fantastic.
We have the best
Uh,
chat in the world, hands
uh,
down. I'm saying
not,
that's a 100% guarantee right there. We have the best chat.
I do believe there's a photo. Yep, yep. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this up. Save this. The nice little thing to end on here.
Oh boy, hold on to your butts, everybody.
It's from Bad Vibes. Yeah, chat here. He sent it to me on Twitter. Pretty funny. Something we talked about a little earlier.
You know,
There we
Scrooge
go.
tears that up, right?
I do, but it's a picture of the Flash and
Okay.
Speedy Gonzalez. And the Flash is like, Speedy Gun, what? Knew I shouldn't have eaten that last cheese burrito. Oh, God. My white knight armor is stronger than yours, sir. God, is Mark Wade doing a signing at this comic book store? But no, I I really agree with Comic Perch. I think that the editors bear a lot of the blame for some of the current issues because even if it's not continuity issues, they've let these characters quote unquote lose their character.
Right.
Um,
They're not a character anymore. It's just
it,
a colorful costume, and you put whatever you want on it.
I don't remember how many of you remember All Star Batman and Robin from several years ago. Not the most recent one, but the one before it, Volume One of All Star Batman and Robin, and you got the scene of Batman telling a terrified young Robin or a young Dick Grayson that he just kidnapped, that he did something, and you were going to listen to him because he's the goddamn Batman. And as brutal and dark and twisted as Bruce Wayne can be, it's just out of character for him. And the editor and the writer both caught shit for that.
As they should have.
But nobody seems to care anymore. Like, it's all about the virtue signal. It's all about the points of, yeah, this is what the, not even the left, but this is what people seem to want, and it's wrong. They want you to not pander to the current audience and the current customer. And at the same time, like I was talking earlier, I think that digital could be the way to bring in younger readers, and that's the most important market to go after. Not men,
Right.
not women,
Which
not the left, not the right, kids.
I would say Alternative's platform is the best way to bring in younger readers, but
Well, Peter Sammetti's out here selling comic books for 70 cents a piece so that you can give them out as trick or treats.
yeah, exactly.
The man's out here. I'm tempted to buy into it and just take them to the local hospital to kids that are in hospital trick or on Halloween.
I mean, yeah, it's hard not to want to support that. I mean, there's a total of like 12 houses on my street, so we don't get trick or treaters.
Yeah,
But
well, it's like I said, even if you don't get trick or treaters, consider doing it for your local children's hospital. There's kids that are sick on Halloween and can't go trick or treating.
Unless it's St. Jude's.
No, don't punish the St. Jude's kids. Punish the hospital, not the kids.
Okay, fair enough.
But I see you got to call something a cuck already. That's good. Glad you got that out of your system.
I had to.
But anyway,
at least once.
That about wraps up what we had. I definitely appreciate everybody for stopping in. Throw a like, share, however you guys want to do it. The PSA comics. Yeah, I remember the public service announcement comics. Somebody in the chat at one point had told us about military comics that I need to look up into. Because apparently they had comics on how to clean your rifle and shit like that.
Which, I mean, why not?
I want the comic book on how to check your landmine. But anyway, yeah, definitely.
You send the dumbass inbred out in front of you to check for landmines. That's how you do it.
That's right. There a landmine right there? No, sir. What about next step? Keep looking till you find one.
you know the like the old Bugs Bunny cartoon, like, I dare you to cross over this line.
Yeah, yeah, and
Now
he
this
just
one. Yeah, yeah, that's how you do it.
that's right. Um, anyway, I definitely appreciate everybody coming out. Like, share, subscribe, all that good noise. Know anybody that might be interested in this kind of show? Feel free to let them know. Tomorrow night we will be back. Not quite sure what we're going to talk about yet. Maybe Spawn number
Yeah.
7. Maybe have some more boomer audio issues. Probably yell about my
Oh,
internet a little
oh,
bit.
always have boomer audio issues.
Um, but we will figure it out and let you guys know before it gets here. Monday though, Monday.
Ooh, Monday, Monday, Monday.
No Gospel of Comics radio, unfortunately. There will be
But
no
fortunately,
radio show on Monday. Because Don Chin, the writer for the Adolescent Radioactive Black Belt Hamsters, will be on the show. Originally, that was scheduled for today, but we were unable to get everything worked out. I think he might have had some company come in. We're going to be looking at Clint, a Hamster Triumphant. Be going through it
with
page by page with live reactions from the writer himself. Probably get sidetracked. Maybe
oh,
get
we're
some
gonna get
questions
so
together.
sidetracked. You guys get
But
to hear me fangirl a bit.
we're going to find out if we can get through 1 or 2 issues this way because I have a feeling he's a really funny guy. Going to be a little bit more of a family friendly stream. John has
Yes, so
John has
bring
some
your kids.
yeah. Um, gonna try and keep the language down to a minimum. No promises, but we're gonna try.
Just remember, make sure you do your taxes early and stay away from gay bars.
Yeah, get it all out now.
That, that's a line from his book.
I know, I know. Anyway, Ayrton is going to squeak, yes. But
Yes, yes, I am.
anyway, we definitely appreciate you guys. Anything you want to add before I get us out of here?
Yes, I need to work on shilling my own stuff.
Okay.
Ayrton McCartney, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, if you like music, specifically blues. Um, yeah, go l- subscribe and like that stuff. Subscribe and like to our show here as
Twitter,
well. You
Twitter
know,
and YouTube are in the description down below. I think I fixed your Twitter. Sure, I can do it live right now if
okay,
I haven't. Yeah, I did. I did.
yeah.
Your Twitter and YouTube
I'm
channel.
also on Instagram. I'll post short videos every now and then of stuff I'm working on musically. So
The Discord is also in the chat. Um, hopefully one day we'll
we're gonna
get that.
we'll figure it out.
Yeah, hopefully one day I'm going to get Ayrton onto a PC and it'll do better. But I may have to get better internet. I may have to splice mine and my neighbor's internet together. Who knows? We've been going for like 5 minutes now, so we're going to get the. Oh, and a thank you to Scalpel Zero. Bad vibes in the chat. Scalpel Zero, I believe, was the artist that did the drawing for one of your characters. We'll show that when it's completed. But without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we will see you guys tomorrow. Be sure to tune in, same time, same channel, same bullshit.
Good night, everybody.